Do you know what this is? Well, we'll have the answer for you as we pay our weekly visit to Jacob Pyle's Antique Electronics Store. And here's your host and store owner of Jacob Pyle's Antique Electronics Store, Jacob Pyle.
Thank you very much, and welcome to my Antique Electronics Store. My name is Jacob Pyle. Glad to have you with us. Each week inside Jacob Pyle's Antique Electronics Store, I'm going to be reintroducing you to some of the most fascinating and retro tech that you can find anywhere. And we begin this week with a two-part look at games that are made to fit in the palm of your hand. Nowadays, when we talk about handheld games, we're usually talking about handheld gaming consoles, such as the Nintendo Switch, or the PlayStation, or even the Game Boy. Don't worry, folks, we'll get into all that in further detail on next week's show, but way before there were ever such things as those, there were such things as these. What I hold in my hand was one of the very first ever electronic handheld games of all time from way back in 1977 entitled Football. Now we're going to be talking to you today about this and two other handheld games. The only difference between these handhelds and the handhelds most of you guys are familiar with to this day is that each of these only has one built-in game on each one, which meant that if you were to take one of these games on a trip with you, or if you were like me when I was a kid, and I would walk down the street to the neighborhood park and play one of these games, and you had a lot of them, you'd be carrying 2 boxes worth of games just to keep you entertained. Not only that, let's say that your mom and dad took you to the toy store, someplace like Walmart, to buy one of these games back in the day. It would cost you about $20. So, let's say if I bought 5 of these games just to keep me entertained, my total cost altogether would be $100. So, if you're all set, we will take a look at these interesting handheld games right after we take a look at these interesting messages. Welcome back. Now before I get into each of these games, I would like to quickly issue this disclaimer. I'm not a commercial spokesperson. I do not endorse any of these electronics that you see on the show. And also, I am discovering these games for the first time as of the date this program was recorded. These have not been touched or played by me prior to this. So with all that being said, our first handheld game for this week is a game entitled Football. In fact, here's an old commercial from back in 1979 promoting the game. Take a look at this.
Ladies and gentlemen, we challenged hotshot Dick Tchaikovsky to play the Mattel Electronics football game. Dick doesn't know, inside is a tiny thinking computer that plays like a whole team of pros. Dick's got the ball, but that computer defense is tough. He drives up the middle, stopped cold.
1 yard.
Now Dick cuts left, down the sidelines, touchdown! Mattel Electronics Pocket Football with the built-in computer.
Hey, who's in there?
Now, Football was one of the very first handheld video games issued by Mattel Electronics back in 1977. The one thing that makes this game of football not as interesting as compared if you were actually playing the game or watching the game yourself is that other than this digital scoreboard on top, all you mostly see are lights and sounds. And when you hear the game's instructions, it seems like a boring game, although Mattel advertised it, as you just saw, a game where the built-in computer in this machine is your whole team. All you're mainly doing is this. The bright light on the end of you here is you, the player. All you have to do is is to try to move your character to the end of the playing field. And try and get as many yards as possible without getting caught by your other team members. I'll play a little bit of this game just to demonstrate. It's harder than it looks, believe you me. Man, I'm terrible at this game. But I think, yeah, basically you get the gist of it. What's this? There's a little switch here for 2. I don't know what number 2 does. Well, I guess we'll find out. Oh, I think it's the level of difficulty. I did not know that. That's interesting. But basically what it is right here you have a switch that you use to turn the game off and on. Then you got your controller pad right here. Then you got a button that's used for sound. And then you have these 3 little buttons right here. I don't know what they do. I guess I'll find out. Let's see. Oh, so if you hit this button, you get to see the score currently. You get the down, and then if you hit K, I don't know what happens, but then obviously I think this means it starts. So that means but basically. You have these, and then if you turn it around in the back, I'm going to turn this off real quick. Basically, it has, okay, so on the back, I mean, this is basically the instructions to the game right here. And then if you go down, this is the little battery compartment. It takes about... According to this, I don't even know how many batteries this takes. But it's a fun little game, nevertheless. And it's fun to play. So there you have it with football. Now, when we return, I will introduce you all to Merlin. If you don't know who Merlin is, stay tuned till after this commercial to find out. We'll be back. Hello? Hello? Hey buddy, how are you? Oh, sorry, I gotta go. Welcome back, gang. Now, if you think football was entertaining, you haven't seen anything yet until you've seen Merlin. Watch this old commercial to see how exciting this game can really be.
Merlin's a game that you can play. You can play it 6 different ways.
Some like to play at tic-tac-toe. Others can test their skill at echo.
Some play a tune on Music Machine or try to play Blackjack 13.
Merlin is 6 electronic games in one. It's really fun for most everyone in the family. 6 pinlight batteries not included.
With lights and sounds.
6 games in one.
Merlin's a game that's lots of fun.
Merlin, 6 electronic games in one. From Parker Brothers.
Now, this is such an interesting toy that I could do a whole episode dedicated to Merlin if I wanted to. And here's the game. I know what you guys are thinking. You're probably thinking this is a cordless phone, but it's actually not. It's a game. The only thing that makes this game interesting is it actually has 6 games in one. And as much as I wish I could actually demonstrate the game to you on the thing itself, this thing's actually broken, so I won't be able to do it. But basically what it is on this game here, we have 11 lights on the game and 6 different game buttons you can choose from. We'll start with tic-tac-toe. In this case, the flashing lights on the board are you, while the steady lights is the computer. Just like in regular tic-tac-toe, the first person who gets 3 in a row wins the game. Then you got Echo, which is similar to Simon. Merlin will play a sequence. All you have to do is copy the exact same sequence. For each correct sequence, it will add an additional button to the sequence each time to make it harder on you. The first one who either gets the sequence wrong or runs out of time will be eliminated from the game, and the person left standing is the winner. Then there's Blackjack 13, same as if you ever played Blackjack. The only difference is you have to hit 13 without going over, and whoever has the highest number will win the game. And I will tell you about Blackjack 13 too. You pretty much have to know math, because basically since the limited stuff, you pretty much have to add the 2 numbers. I mean, if I was able to demonstrate this to you, I could probably do it, but yeah, it's hard to do. Then you got Mind Bender, which is a numbers game. Merlin will think of a 2-digit number, and you have to guess the exact number. So let's say that Merlin thinks the number's 12. So I would just hit random 2-digit numbers. Say my first guess is 34. Well, there would actually be a light, like right here. There wouldn't be a light. Now say if I were to put in 21. Well, it's correct, but in the wrong order. And the third guess, it's 12. So I mean, that's pretty much simple stuff right here. Then there's a puzzle game on here called Magic Square, which is similar to Lights Out. What you want to do in the game is it will give you a puzzle. All you have to do is make it to where all the lights on the game board light up except this middle button right here. I think it's very simple. Now I named 5 of the games. This one is not really a game. It's called Music Machine. Basically, you can either play or come up with a tune, and then Merlin will play it back. In fact, this is one of the early examples of a synthesizer type machine. Anyway, overall, this is a fun game. I hope you have a lot of money for batteries, because this takes... this takes 6 AA's. But that's how you play Merlin. Now, after this break, Tiger Electronics enters the handheld game scene. We'll be back. We are back. We have one more handheld game for you all. Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Tiger Electronics, through the late 80s and early 90s, was best known for issuing handheld games for popular franchises such as Transformers or the Disney line of products or Sonic the Hedgehog. The only major difference with this handheld game than any others is that it actually had graphics, but again, keep in mind at the time, the graphics in this game was very limited. You have your controls up in front, a directional pad, a spin button, a pick button right over here, and a button to call it tails. I'll power on this game to demonstrate. Basically, all you have to do, let me see if I can get this to start. Basically, all you have to do I'm awful at this game, bear with me. Oops. So basically, all you have to do is navigate Sonic through a series of stages, and you have to pick up rings along the way. Rings are important because as the game progresses, there's a timer that counts down the number of rings you have in the progress of the game. If you run out of rings at any point during the game or get hit enough times by one of the enemies, you will lose a life. And if you lose all 3 lives, the game is over. Oh my. I'm telling her. Well, the handheld game is great. Takes 2 AA batteries. Not as much as Merlin did, but still. But it's a great game to play if anybody wants to try it. We'll be back with my fascinating electronic of the week coming up. Don't go away. Welcome back. Now it's time for this week's fascinating electronic of the week. I'm sure most of you guys watching this are familiar with the game Tetris, right? Well, believe it or not, this is Tetris. As a matter of fact, it's the smallest arcade version of Tetris I have ever seen. This thing is so small, I about need my glasses to actually play the game. Alright. Those of you not familiar with the game Tetris, Tetris is a puzzle game. Your goal in Tetris is to make a line of blocks because lines make points. The only trick to the game is to not let the blocks reach the top of the game screen. If you do, it's game over. I'm going to play a little bit here to demonstrate. There's a, as you can see, it's got a small battery compartment. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a battery compartment. There's a switch in the back. Was it on the whole time? Now, as you can see, it's got but basically, 53, woohoo! But basically what it is you have this little tiny screen here. You have a joystick and 2 buttons, and then I told you about the stuff in the back. But this thing is really small. As a matter of fact, let me see. Talk about games that fit in the palm of your hand. Look at this. Oh yeah, this thing can definitely fit in the palm of my hand, that's for sure. And I should point out too that it's also got a hook on the side as well. This little thing that you can actually hook it up to your keychain or whatever. Now this is so much fun. I'm going to keep on playing this game. If you have any suggestions for future episodes, donations of old electronics you'd like us to feature on our show, or if you just simply have a topic that we would like to do for a future episode, send me an email. My email address is jtpile1@aol.com. So, That's going to do it with part 1 on games that fit in the palm of your hand. Join us for the conclusion next week as game consoles begin to enter the market. We will introduce to all of you the first 3 handheld console games that ever hit the shelves. The original Game Boy and its competitors, the Sega Game Gear, and Tiger's Gamecom. Join us next week for part 2 of our 2-part look at games made to fit in the palm of your hand right here in Jacob Pyle's Antique Electronics Store. I hope you join us then. And until then, I thank you for visiting Jacob Pyle's Antique Electronics Store. I'm Jacob Pyle. Good night.
This is Butch McCain speaking. Jacob Pyle's Antique Electronics Store is a production of Jacob Pyle Productions, Inc., which is solely responsible for its content.